Hello, boxing fans around the world. Thanks for joining me once again here on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today, courtesy of our friends across the pond at Boxing 247. And first one off the top is going to be a quick little update on Mayhem at Moseley's. After I talked about it yesterday or the day before, I got flooded with some emails and some comments with respect to needing a bit more information. So I'm going to start off today's show a little out of the ordinary and provide you with some information about an event that's taking place down in Dedham, Massachusetts, at a place called Moseley's on the Charles, which will feature the main event, a couple of welterweights going at it. James the Slim Reaper Perella, who's 10-0 with 7 knockouts, fighting out of Mansfield, Massachusetts, going toe-to-toe against Rogue Augustine Junco, who's 10-1 with 6 knockouts, fighting out of Cordoba, Argentina. So let me just cruise through these various other fights that are taking place. The co-feature is a light heavyweight bout featuring Tommy the Kid O'Toole out of Galway, Ireland, who I've mentioned many times before, going up against Jose Abando, fighting out of Guadalajara, Mexico. In the super featherweight division, I see Alex Rivera is going toe-to-toe against William Paris Smith, who's out of Anchorage, Alaska. In a welterweight clash, we see Joe Farina, 7-1, 4 knockouts, fighting out of South Boston, Massachusetts, going up against Raheem Johnson, who's out of Indianapolis, Indiana. In the special super middleweight attraction, okay, and potentially this is where I got a lot of hits. James Savage Hagler Jr., who's now 2-1 with 1 knockout, fighting out of Atlanta, Georgia, is going up against, wait for it, Hayator Margaravita Senrat. He's out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. No, I'm not going to repeat that. He's, as you know, the the grandson of Marvelous Marvelin Hagler. So James Savage Hagler going up against Mr. Senrat out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. In the super lightweight contest, we see Anthony Cavallo making his pro debut. He's fighting out of South Boston, go up against Brandon Grimmett. In the middleweight division, Michael Fontanez is making his pro debut. He's out of Nashua, New Hampshire. His opponent will be announced at a later date, hopefully shortly. And in the featherweight division, we're going to see Troy Anderson Jr., 4-0, with 2 knockouts out of Dorchester, Massachusetts, going up against Michael Yaxola out of Modesto, California. Anyway, a good card being assembled by our good friends down in Dedham, and we look forward to those results. I especially look forward to seeing James Hagler's result. All right, let's move along quickly to the Toyota Arena in Ontario, California, USA, where former world super middleweight champion and top light heavyweight contender Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, who's 43-0 with 39 knockouts, is fully focused on his May 14th opponent, German fighter Dominic Boesel, who's 32-2 with 12 knockouts. Not the winner of this week's fight between Zurdo's fellow countryman Saul Canelo Alvarez and World Boxing Association super light heavyweight champ Dimitri Bivol. If Zurdo beats Boesel in their 12-round main event, the reigning International Boxing Organization, that's the IBO, light heavyweight world title holder and WBA #1 rated contender and #2 ranked Ramirez will be positioned to challenge the Alvarez-Bivol winner. That's if Mr. Alvarez decides not to climb up to the heavyweight division, but he needs to get past Boesel first to force his long-sought world light heavyweight title fight against Canelo or Bivol. Zurdo versus Boesel, presented by Golden Boy Promotions in association with Zurdo Promotions and SES Boxing, will stream live and exclusively on DAZN from Toyota Arena in Ontario, California. Whatever happens, Ramirez said, I'll be ready for the winner of that fight. And he's talking about Canelo versus Bivol. Both are great fighters, but I'm ready to beat both. Now, as a sidebar, we all know that Saul Canelo Alvarez has stated he wouldn't mind taking on Alexander Usyk. Anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about here. All right, I expect an all-out fight versus Bozo. This is a life-changing fight for him, so I'm prepared for anything he throws at me. My team has been getting ready, and I have full confidence I will be the victor come fight night. Ramirez has several advantages over Bozo. Higher quality experience, the fact that Bozo has never fought outside of Europe, his hometown advantage with the fight in his adopted home, and his Mexican fans coming out in force. I'm the best in the world and will always have the advantage, Ramirez added, but I still can't take him lightly. He's talking about Bozo. He's a long-time pro who knows how to take advantage of the moment. It's convenient for me, fighting in the LA area, but at the end of the day, it's a fight. To me, it doesn't matter if it's held in Zurich, Frankfurt, Tokyo, or Mexico. I can fight anywhere. I don't worry about the other fights in Southern California the same day. For example, Charlo versus Castano, which is taking place in Carson, or the Kovalev-Pulev match in Inglewood. I'm just focused on my fight, and I know that come fight night, my fans and all my Mexican people will be with me. All right, there we go. All the news fit the print, courtesy of Gilberto Ramirez. On another front, though, taking place in York Hall, we see that Brad Foster will challenge for the vacant WBC International Super Bantamweight title against the dangerous Inut Baluto at York Hall, Friday, May 20th, live on BT Sport. Former British, Commonwealth, and IBF International Bantamweight champ Foster from Litchfield makes his return to the ring following his disputed defeat to Jason Cunningham in Birmingham back in October. And he takes on the highly rated Romanian, the former WBO European champion who fights out of Spain. Bidding to get back on the title track, Foster, who's 14-1-2 with 5 knockouts, who became one of the youngest outright British champions when he defeated James Beach Jr. back in July of 2020, having previously overcome Josh Whale, Ashley Lane, and Lucian Reed, with his IBF international success coming against Alvaro Rodriguez in March 2021. And Baluto, by the way, 14-3, impressively defeated Irish Stars former world champion TJ Doherty and Olympian David Oliver Choice before dropping a narrow majority decision to Michael Conlon last time out in April 2021. Also in championship action on that night will be Liverpool super bantamweight Andrew Kane, making a first defense of his WBC International Silver title against durable Mexican Luis Moreno. Kane, who's 9-0 with 8 knockouts, won his belt with an explosive first-round stoppage over Pablo Ariel Gomez in Telford in mid-April, and is quickly back in business after the fight was stopped with the official time of just 19 seconds. Wow. Moreno, who's 10-2 with 6 knockouts, has previously fought on these shores, and that would be the English shores, with the Monterrey man suffering a points loss to Dennis McCann in March last year. That would be Dennis the Menace McCann, who we've also featured on Knuckle Up previously. Having reversed that loss last time out, Galito, which translates as cocky, will be hoping for a better result in the second bout outside of his native country. Liverpool middleweight James Hennigan, who's 6-0, is back in London, with a 23-year-old having his third fight at York Hall. 2 first cousins feature on the card on another special night for the Frankham fighting family. Super featherweight Charles, who's 5-0, and welterweight Josh, who's also 5-0, will continue their progression in the professional ranks. Future super bantamweight star Aidan Muhammad, who's 4-0 from Buckhurst Hill, will have his 5th professional assignment on the card, alongside Bexley welterweight Mickey Burke Jr., who's 5-0, and Beckham lightweight Muhammad Bilal Ali, 4-1 with 1 knockout, by the way. Recent Frank Warren signing, Raven Chapman, go ladies, 2-0, will have her first fight under the Queensberry promotional banner when she takes on unbeaten Italian Nadia Flahi, who's 3-0 with 1 knockout over 6 rounds at featherweight division. Sean Noakes will make his professional, Sean Noakes will make his professional It was his brother. Sean Oakes will make his professional debut at the famous East London venue with the Maidstone man, older brother of lightweight Sam, fighting at welterweight over 4 rounds. Quote, I'm very much looking forward to seeing Brad Foster get himself back in the ring, although he won't have an easy night's work against the Balutu, who has proved his credentials on several occasions against fancied opposition, said promoter Frank Warren. Good stuff, and we hope to see the results from that heavy-duty card. Elsewhere, we're going to zip back across the pond over to the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden, taking place on the 18th of June. Artur Beterbiev is going up against Joe Smith Jr. 3 belts and light heavyweight supremacy will be at stake when WBC IBF World Champion Artur Beterbiev meets WBO Champion Joe Smith Jr. in a highly anticipated unification showdown Saturday, June 18th at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Beterbiev, boxing's only world champion with a 100% knockout rate, hopes to pick up another strap against Cinderella Man Smith, a Long Island native who grew up about 70 miles from Madison Square Garden. In the 10-rounder, in the featherweight division, co-featured 2-time Cuban Olympic gold medalist Robeisy El Tren Ramirez will battle the unbeaten Abraham El Super Nova. Beterbiev, Smith, and Ramirez Nova will be broadcast live on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Plus. That's a 7 p.m. start Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Beterbiev versus Smith is one of the very best fights that can be made in boxing. 2 huge punchers fighting at Madison Square Garden in what will be an electric atmosphere. Whoever comes out on top will be true king of the light heavyweight division, said Top Rank Chairman Bob Arum. Robeisy Ramirez has developed into a sensational pro, and he'll have his hands full against a tough, undefeated kid in Abraham Nova. The winner will be in line to fight for a featherweight world title. Fair enough. For more information, by the way, on that particular story, which does have a few more paragraphs of information, please go along to the boxing247.com website. Right on. Elsewhere, I was also asked the other day about a fighter by the name of Supreme Patty. So here we go. This chap is a YouTube sensation, apparently, and a TikToker of some kind of influence. Supreme Patty, whose real name is Patrick Wallace, is a 24-year-old from Daytona Beach, and he has a few boxing matches so far on his social media career, most notably his fight against Dan Root, where he won by decision for Rough and Rowdy in 2021. On June 11th, he will take part in a huge night of boxing that will originate from the Center Stage Theater in Atlanta. And of special note to all of my fans out there, this is the fight that I told you about that will feature Avril Mathy out of Miami via Australia. So let's just run down the fight list here. Let's have a quick look. The show's being promoted by Prestige Boxing Advisory Group in association with BFC, the Last Round Promotions. Features a couple of older boxers, shall we say. Alfredo Pero Anguilla, 26-8, with 21 knockouts, takes on Fidel Munoz, who's 40, 29-1, an 8-round super middleweight bout. And undefeated welterweight Peter Dobson, who's 15-0, out of Bronx, will fight Rodrigo Correa, who's 10-3, out of Cordoba, Argentina, in a welterweight battle. In a 6-rounder, popular middleweight Casey K-Champ Dixon, 2-0, will fight for the WBA super middleweight youth title. And in a 6-round co-feature, Atlanta's Quatavish, there's that name again. Quatavius Cash, 14-3, 8 knockouts, takes on Jason Minda, 14-7-1, out of Salem, Massachusetts. Also seeing action in 6 rounds will be featherweight Jose Nivea, who's 2-0, out of Woodbridge, New Jersey. Junior welterweight Patrick Harris, 19-0. with 9 knockouts out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. And also the pro debut of highly regarded 2-time National Golden Glove champ, light heavyweight Abel Gonzalez. In a 4-rounder heavyweight contest, We'll also see Dante Williams, who's 1-0 out of Hawkinsville, Georgia. Anyway, tickets to see Avril Matthew range from $100 to $500 and can be purchased on Ticketmaster. Anyone you guys feeling generous, please feel free to buy me a ticket. Right on. Next, we see that reigning UBO All-America welterweight champ Brandon Buchanan Berry returns to action on June 11th at the Skowhegan Community Center in Maine, headlining against an opponent to be decided. Berry, who's 34 years old, won the UBO title in November 2020 and retained it in April last year, will also be the promoter of the show. Former UBO International Super Flyweight champ Sandeep Kumar from India took his record to 9-1-1 on March 1st when he stopped fellow countryman Lucky Malag in the first round at the Virat Boxing Club in his hometown of Guardian. Current UBO International Super Flyweight ruler Huzio Morales moves down to flyweight and won the WBC United States silver title on March 24th, beating local man Almolfo Salvador Rodriguez 15-2-1 by unanimous decision over in Tijuana, Mexico, and winning his 12th straight fight. 29-year-old Morales from Houston, Texas, improved his professional record to 23-12-4. In other UBO news, world bantamweight champion Patrick Luikoto, who's 15-2-2, will take part in a non-title fight on May 6th in his native Indonesia when he faces Prince Andrew Lorio from the Philippines. And on May 7th, that's coming in 2 days, on May 7th, recently crowned UBO International Light Heavyweight Champion Giovanni El Mambo Carpentieri, who's 13-4-3 with 3 knockouts. Stays busy in a 6-rounder against Hungarian journeyman Peter Orlik, who's 24-30-1 with 3 knockouts. And finally, Edmund Zeffy, the UBO Super Welterweight Youth titleist, will aim to return to winning ways on June 10th in Switzerland after losing a non-title fight in Poland to Lukasz Wierbicki, 20-1 with 7 knockouts at welterweight this past March. So there's a few names to keep track of in the UBO organization, and their fights that are upcoming. And look forward to hearing more from them and the results of those fights. WBC champ Jamal Charlo is facing Maciek Sulecki in Houston on June 18th. This will take place at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. The undefeated WBC middleweight world champion Jamal Charlo will hold a Juneteenth celebration in his hometown for the 2nd straight year when he steps into the ring to face tough former title challenger Maciek Sulecki on Saturday, June 18th, live on Showtime from the Toyota Center in Houston in an event presented by Premier Boxing Champions. This telecast will see undefeated top super bantamweight contender Rais Alim take on Mike Plania in a 10-rounder. It's a co-main event, plus the Derek James-trained unbeaten lightweight contender Frank Martin battles Panama's power-punching Ricardo Nunez, also in a 10-rounder. Charlo, who's 32-0 with 22 knockouts, returns to fight in his hometown, Houston, for the 5th time in his career, having most recently earned an entertaining unanimous decision win there over Juan Matel last June, also shown on Showtime. The 31-year-old scored an impressive unanimous decision triumph over top middleweight contender Sergey Derevyanchenko in their September 2020 showdown, and owns a 7-0 record since moving up to middleweight in 2017. A 2-division world champion, Charlo also strung together an impressive run 154 pounds, capturing the IBF title in 2015 and piling victories over champions Austin Trout, Cornelius Bundrich, and Julian Williams, whom he floored 3 times on his way to a memorable 5th round knockout. He says, "I'm excited to get back in the ring in front of my people in Houston and put on a great show fighting on Juneteenth weekend once again. I'm ready to handle my business and give everyone what they come out to see. Sulecki's a tough fighter who's going to come in hungry, but I'm fighting for something bigger, and I won't be stopped from delivering a special performance on June 18th. So there we go, fight fans. Now, last story of the day. It's kind of a nice story, a good follow-up to some of the reporting we've been doing out of Boston. Here we go. Two-time Dominican Olympian lightweight Leonel de los Santos, who's 6-0, 5 knockouts, may be settling in the Boston area to enhance his professional boxing career. In fact, he recently spent a month there preparing for his last fight, which we reported on, which resulted in a win by way of 6-round decision this past March in his native Dominican Republic. Santos's manager, Ryan Roach, who lives in Boston, introduced his undefeated lightweight to trainer Alex Rivera, and that paid immediate dividends in terms of improvement. Santos, who's 26, trained at the Somerville Boxing Club under Rivera, who also trained welterweight Rashidi Ellis, who's 26-0, who Santos sparred with on several occasions, and the U.S. Olympian Rashidi Ellis is Rashidi's sister. Okay, sorry, there we go. So who trains Rashidi Ellis is 26-0, and Santos sparred several times, and U.S. Olympian Rashida Ellis is Rashidi's sister. Got it. The conditions at our training camp in Boston were very good, Santos said. I learned a lot of new things about professional boxing from Alice in just a short time, especially my defense about dodging smaller boxers. He really helped my performance in my last fight. Rivera remembered, for his part, Leonel is a good boxer with a lot of experience. He has speed and power. We worked on making him more technically sound. It's about hitting without being hit, and he's very tall for his weight class. It's 5'8", 5'9", with a good reach. We got along right away. It was like we'd been working together for a long time. I think he can make some noise with his amateur background. He has all the tools. Reminds me a little of Ryan Garcia, tall and strong for his weight class. Leonel has what it takes. Right on. Santos, by the way, who has relatives living in nearby Lawrence, Massachusetts, is applying for a work visa to train with Rivera. I think training with Alex vastly improved Leonel's boxing and training, Santos's manager Roach added. Alex worked a lot on distance, which will lead to more power balance behind his shots. I saw big changes in Leonel's last fight. He applied the skills he learned with Alex, and I look forward to more. Well, thank you very much for joining me, boxing fans. I appreciate your time, appreciate your patience as I go through some of those names, which are kind of difficult at first glance to pronounce. Anyway, remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you later on at 4 o'clock for a Knuckle Up at 4 with Mike Orr and Cedric Ben. See you then.